Good morning, everyone, and happy Father's Day to you. Hey, why did the golfer bring two pairs of pants? Because he might get a hole in one. You may be happy to know that that is the only dad joke that I have prepared today. So that's it, but I had to get it out of the way and give you guys a good dad joke. And I don't know why they always, why we fathers are always labeled with giving the corny jokes. And I'm sure that my children will tell you that all my jokes have been perfect number one hitters. You know, there's none of these lame jokes for me. But let's talk about Father's Day and fatherhood in general. And when fatherhood is at its best, when it's at its absolute best, it is the giving of oneself, the giving of the best of oneself. And that's what Father's Day is a celebration of to me. It's a celebration of a man at his best. And that's how it started off in 1910. It was created by a daughter to honor her father, who raised 6 children on his own after their mother died in childbirth. So it was a salute to him and a salute to his hard work that started this whole thing. And just so you know, for the record, Mother's Day started first. And so we started saluting mothers first in 1908. And then in 1910, we created Father's Day. So fatherhood is when typically is when a man takes the most refined vision of love that he has within himself, and he hands that to his children. And I think of this, this is how I approached fatherhood. I always want to give the absolute best of myself to my kids, my best effort, my best traits, my best judgment, my best advice, the best of me. And I can't think about fatherhood without thinking about my own father, who passed on a lot of these traits to me. And even though he passed away 7 years ago, I am still learning from him. He is still teaching me, and I'm still learning, and I'm going back into the archives of our relationship, and I can still dig out new and interesting things and new facets of it. So that's part of what fatherhood brings. It's this lifelong teaching at its best, I'll say. So, and my dad taught me a lot of stuff. He taught me practical stuff, like knowing the difference between a Phillips and a flathead screwdriver. He taught me how to fish. He taught me how to mow and to edge a lawn. And he taught me how to clean a chicken bone. Man, that man can clean a chicken bone. When he's done with a drumstick, it looks like it's been steam cleaned. Okay, it's crazy. And the way he would eat, chicken wings, he would eat. Of course, he'd clean the bones off of that, but he would even eat that little part of the chicken wing that nobody eats and people throw away. He eats that, cleans it up. There's nothing left. And it was a big thing at dinner time, because we kids, we didn't know anything about cleaning bones. We get done, we're full, yeah, we're done. And he would always make us go back and finish off that bone. Look at all that meat you left there. Look at all that. And sometimes he'd finish it off himself. But that's neither here nor there. He taught me how to do it. And sometimes he would teach me the practical things by calling me into the room. Hey, come and help me out with this. Or, hey, come here, I'm going to show you how to do this. And which I love those moments, because I was a very curious child. And I like to know how things work, how things work on the inside. So I loved helping him when he was working on the car, getting him his tools, and just learning about things like that. And that really gravitated to me. And he also taught me intangible things, things like how to move in this world as a man and as a Black man in America. He taught me how to talk to people. Quite simply, he would go up and he was absolutely, he didn't care about who he was talking to, about who that person was that he wanted to get some information from or wanted to connect to. He would just go up and start talking to them. It's a celebrity or whatever, he doesn't care. And I always noted his ease of doing that. He was a person that could talk to anyone, and I really respected that. And those weren't things that he sat down and taught me. This is how you respect people. This is how you talk to people. These are things that I observed as I was watching him in his interactions day to day. When we would go out and do things, I would just watch how he would do things, and then I would emulate them. And that's how that works. That's the beautiful way that we can teach children and each other without saying, hey, I'm going to teach you a lesson. We teach through doing. We teach through example. And I'm so grateful for the example that my dad had given me. Even the stuff that I don't quite realize yet, the things that I'm still unwrapping, I am so grateful for him and my relationship with him. But every Father's Day, as we celebrate everything that dads are, I also am very aware of families that didn't have a father. It didn't have a father present. So it's great to have a great father, but what if you didn't have a great father? You know, what if your father was terrible? What if your father was abusive? What if your father was completely absent? What then? What about all of the good things, and how do you learn these good things if you don't get them from your father? Well, this too, I turned to my father, because as wonderful as he was, perhaps one of the most remarkable things about him is that he didn't have a dad. He was not raised with a mother and a father. He was raised by his grandmother. He was one of 7 children, and his mother didn't have enough money to support him, and she asked her mother, his grandmother, if she would take him in. And she wasn't rich. This is Poplar Bluff, Missouri, in 1928. And she was a sharecropper. And so she said, yes, I'll take him. And she took him in, and she is the one that taught him all of those first lessons, that taught him all of those divine feminine things and all of the divine masculine traits that he had. He got those from one source, from one role model in the beginning, and it was a single parent, and it was his beloved grandmother. And she instilled him with such values, and he respected her so much and loved her so much. When he went off to join the army, he would send checks back home for her every month. And then as he rose up through the ranks, he was able to save up enough money to build her the house of her dreams. Now, when I say the house of her dreams, we may think, oh, it's a mansion. Put the pool over there, put the jacuzzi over there, and put the tennis courts over there. No, this was not that kind of a home. This was her dream. Her dream. She wanted 2 bedrooms. She wanted a closed-in porch with a screen around it so she could sit out on the front porch and watch people go by. She told him everything that she wanted in a house, in a home, and he built that for her right where she was and right where she wanted it. I learned lessons about love, about loyalty, because he loved her so deeply. And it was an amazing relationship. But the thing is he didn't have to have a father to be a great father. And that's the thing. He didn't have to have a father to learn principles of fatherhood, to learn divine masculine qualities. Okay. And we're talking about the divine masculine. And we talked about that before. It is all of the higher ideals of masculinity. And they are not only carried by men. Okay, men and women both have the divine masculine and the divine feminine qualities within them. And so the divine masculine qualities are logic, reason, action, firmness, survival, loyalty, adventurousness, rationale, and strength. And just because you don't have a father present, it doesn't mean that you can't get these lessons from your mother, from your uncle, from your cousin, from your friends, from your community. These qualities are everywhere. And as we have a void in us where we need to have this information, we can get it from all around us. And that is part of what I want to leave you with today, the impact that we have on each other. Even if we don't have fathers, even if we don't have that strong male, that strong masculine influence that we typically get from fathers, even if that's not there, we can still be that for each other. And we don't have to do it the practical way. We don't have to grab somebody up and say, sit down, I'm going to teach you how to be a man. I'm going to teach you how to be a father. No, it's how we conduct ourselves through life. It's how we talk to one another. It's how we communicate. It's how we love each other. And it's how we show love to each other. And it's funny, I had never really thought about this until I thought about the times when I saw uncommon behaviors from my father. Like being, like crying. I only seen my dad cry twice. Once when my mother passed away, and once when we actually found my dad's father. And we visited him in a nursing home. And Papa was a Rolling Stone. Okay, he was not in my dad's life at all in growing up. So when we found him in that home, and he couldn't talk, he couldn't do anything, but because he had suffered a stroke. So we couldn't connect to him in that way. But as soon as he saw my dad walk into the room, and this is after not seeing him for probably 30, 40 years, he reached out his hand and he grabbed onto my dad's hand and he didn't let go. He wouldn't let go. And for our whole visit, he had a grasp of my dad's hand. Even though he wasn't present, and even though he wasn't there to help, he wasn't there to help financially, he wasn't there to do any of the things that he should have been there to do, there is still the underlying sense of love he still felt for his child. And that came rushing forth. I'll never forget what that looked like as he patted his chest and patted my dad's chest and said, yes, this is my son. So what is the point of all this? What is the point of all this? If you have a great dad, then be grateful, because not everyone has. And if you haven't had a great dad, then be grateful for the influences that you did grow up with, for the good, the positive, masculine qualities that you were exposed to, that you were taught, no matter where the lessons came from, whether they came from your mom, whether they came from an aunt, an uncle, no matter where the fathering energies flowed to you, be grateful for them, and be grateful for the opportunity to share them with your family, with your world, in your immediate universe. And share them we must. Share them we do. Even if you're not sharing them on purpose, every time you walk out of that door and you are dealing with other people and you're dealing with the world, you're being watched. People are learning from your behavior. And we are constantly in a state of raising each other, of lifting each other up, of showing each other the way. And this is how we do it. We do it by being loving. We do it by keeping our word. We do it by being loyal. We do it by being good people. So we can share the divine masculine qualities that we all have within us, and we can share the divine feminine qualities that we all have within us. And we never know the full impact of our actions. That's why we always have to act and think with our highest mind, with the most love that we can muster, because people are receiving it. As I was preparing for this talk, I came across a letter from a kid that is a friend of the family, and we had her stay with us for a little while she finished out her senior year in high school, and her parents had moved out of state, and it was just before her senior year. So in order to allow her to enjoy her senior year, she stayed with us here in Folsom, finished out school, and then she went off to her parents. This is a person that has had many role models in life, many male role models, many positive role models. And one day she sent me a letter out of the blue, thanking me for being a role model in her life. Now, I did not set out to do that. I didn't set out to be that. I just figured, oh yeah, okay, we got somebody staying with us, and we're taking care of them, and and whatever. I didn't think that I'm going to be a father to her. But I was, because she was listening, and she was watching what I was doing and how I was acting and how I was behaving in the world and things that I would say. And she mentioned something that I said that really had a huge impact on her, that it was kind of a throwaway remark. It was way back when Osama bin Laden had been found and killed. And there was a lot of celebration happening all throughout Facebook, celebrating the death of this man. And I had told her, as we were watching the news coverage on TV together, I said, I just can't celebrate another man's death. I can't celebrate another person's death. I can't be happy about that. And so we just went on and started talking about other things. But she had included that in this letter. She said, when you said that, the compassion that you had really took me off guard, and it made me think about the compassion of the world, and thinking about the world, and being brave enough to say, hey, I stand for love instead of hate. And all of these conclusions and things that it created in her mind, that I had no idea that was coming through, but it did. So that's just to show you, you don't know the impact that you're making in your world every single day, that you are loving, that you make good choices, that you are honorable. The world is watching. The world is listening. So for our home play today, and I've changed the name from homework to home play. Yeah, we all want to play, right? So let's play with this idea. Let's play with this idea that we're a bigger influence than we think we are. Let's play with this idea that just as our children are watching us and learning how to behave, our friends and neighbors are also watching us and learning how to behave. Other adults are watching us and taking note of our peace, of how we love, of how we live. We're being watched. We're being referenced. So get used to the idea that we are raising each other. And let's remember that with every move that we make it not only for ourselves, but we make it for our community, we make it for our world. And every bit of peace and love that we can enjoy, that we can share, that we can spread, it levels the entire planet up. Just that little bit. That huge amount. I'm not going to say it's a little bit, it's huge. What we can do for each other and what we can do for the world. Okay? So let's take that into prayer.